Okay, I'm excited today because we are going to be talking about e-commerce and kind of an opposite angle to what we normally do. A lot of times people have like their e-commerce brand and their goal is to maybe one day get into a store. So my guest here today is someone who went the other way around. She built an in-store brand and said, I got to figure out ways to go online. So I'm excited to have Nanette Hunter from D-Unique Tools, who created her own in-store brand and then said, you know what, I got to start putting this on the internet too. So Nanette, thanks for coming on Maximizing E-commerce.
Thank you, Kevin, for having me.
Yeah, so just for the benefit of folks, you and I got connected because I think you found one of my videos on YouTube or something like that. And then it was around the time I did the PPC Mastery Summit back in May of 2020 as we're recording this. And you ended up, I had an accelerator program, kind of like a mastermind group, and you ended up joining that group. And so I kind of got to know you and your story. So I thought this would be really an interesting topic because I like bringing on people that have unique angles and like to take action on stuff. And you were definitely an action taker from everything I've seen. So really excited to get into this. And I want to learn from you as well. So I'm super excited about this.
Yes, Kevin. I was searching the internet because I was looking to expand on e-commerce, and then I found you, and then I was listening to your video, and then of course when you enter your information, you're able to send me information. So, and then I signed up. I was like, this is it. Yes.
All right. Good. Well, let's go back in time, even well before that. So, how did you get into building your own brand with the intent of going in store? Like, walk me through, like, where were you in life when you decided to do that? Because I'm not even 100% sure this, so were you working for a job? Were you just looking for something entrepreneurial to do? Like, how did that even start?
So it all started with my dad. So my dad started the company D-Unique Tools.
Okay.
And we had an extended family member, invent a tool. So someone also came to us saying, why don't you get into Home Depot or, try to get into Home Depot. And so I contacted the regional buyer in California, and we were able to get into California stores, but it was a long story, but we did a test market in the Bay Area. And then we expanded over time to 200 stores and to all the stores.
So wait, you started with Home Depot?
Yes.
Okay. Got it. So just I want to unpack that just here real quick. So a member of the family, so this is kind of a family business, a member of the family invented a product, and it sounds like they were maybe the inventor type, but they needed somebody who was more kind of the marketing type.
Yes.
And that seems to be Nanette's MO. So help me understand this. So you said, let's just go to Home Depot. Let's just start with the big, the Amazon, so to speak, of home improvement. So why did you decide to go all the way to Home Depot and not like, well, let's start with maybe like a local, independently run hardware store?
So I should probably say Home Depot is a national store, so that's what I targeted on. But my dad, they targeted on some of the smaller stores.
Oh, okay.
Independent stores. So we were in some of the.
So you're kind of going both ways.
Yes, we went both ways, but
okay.
I guess for us being a vehicle for national, we started with Home Depot to be able to market.
Okay, well, help me understand this too, because this is really for the benefit of my curiosity, but I know a lot of listeners are probably curious about this too. Like, did you have experience working with buyers at big chains, or did you just say, I'm going to Google their names and see if I can find people?
No experience. Well, I should say I worked for nonprofits before.
Okay.
Event planning, so I knew how to go about negotiating and talking to executives, because that's what you have to do for nonprofits. You have to be a go-getter.
True.
So I had that in me, and the planning part of me.
That you have, yes.
So it wasn't an easy process. It took a while. It wasn't like it just happened overnight.
Right.
When I contacted the regional buyer, he was never in his office. He was always traveling.
Okay.
So
Now,
that's
okay. So let's, was this emails you're sending or are you picking up the phone?
picking up the phone.
Okay, yes. I know a lot of people in this world like to think of everything as like, all, automated, but you got to do stuff sometimes old school way. And sometimes it involves picking up the phone and getting voicemails, or maybe sometimes the whoever's answering the phone is not probably as polite as you'd like, but you probably just kept going, right?
Yes, and just build a rapport.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be over, you know, over the top, but just being, developing relationships over the phone. And so
Okay.
the person, the assistant, she was making sure that I had that contact with the buyer and she would follow up. So that's how we
Okay.
got started.
Gotcha. So you got into Home Depot, started off just in the Bay Area of California, and then eventually you got to a point you were in 200 stores. So is it still currently in 200 stores?
So we're national in every
Oh, no,
state.
it's national. Okay, so I could go to the one here in
Yes,
Stuart, Florida, and it's in there.
yes.
Oh wow, I gotta go look. I gotta go look next time. No, Home Depot. Okay, so you're in Home Depot. Is it pretty much Home Depot and independent stores? Or are you in other chains as well?
So we are in Ace Hardware. We are also in online with Lowe's.
Okay.
And we're in Walmart.com, US and Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also in Amazon, Ecommerce.
Right. Awesome. So Amazon.com and Walmart.com. Now, with Walmart.com, are you in the marketplace similar to their, to Amazon's marketplace?
Yes.
Okay, so you're a 3P vendor, basically.
Yes.
Or 3P seller, I should say. Okay, but Lowe's, I've never heard anyone talk about selling on Lowe's.com. So, like, what does that even look like? Like, is it one of those things, like, is it kind of gated? Like, you have to get in there? Are they buying the products from you? Are they drop shipping from you? Like, what does that relationship look like with Lowe's?
So with Lowe's, we're drop shipping. And that's a
Okay.
whole other story, too, because I
Right.
had a meeting with a buyer as well. And I flew out to North Carolina where their headquarters is. And the buyer was ready to bring us in, but then he was moved to another position or he left. So you have to start all over again. So you have to have patience. And so it happened again. Another buyer had another opportunity and had another meeting with him. And then they was ready to bring us back in so we can go into all the stores. And then he left. But just left though, before he can make all those decisions, I asked could he give us a vendor number and get online so that way our foot was in the door. So that's
cool. That was good. Hey, since you're leaving, go ahead, just put me in there. Okay, got it.
Like, it's not gonna happen again. So we're
right. That was smart. So at least you have a foothold in there. Okay, so it sounds like, if I'm understanding it correctly, in some ways it's not exactly the same, but it's like on Amazon, if you had a listing that was FBM, fulfilled by merchant, you're basically doing fulfilled by merchant essentially for Lowe's. Does that sound like a fair assessment?
Yes, it is, because you're drop shipping. The orders are coming through a system to us, and then we're shipping it out. And you put the Lowe's logo on the packaging, on the invoices, as though it's coming from them. So that's how it works for a lot of the corporate, like Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart, or other Target. So if you're drop shipping for a corporation, your invoice and everything, when you ship it to the customer, it has their logos on there.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense, because they don't want it to look like it's coming from a third party. They want it to look like it's coming from them. Okay. And that's one of those things where it's not just like you just get in. So like the more I hear stories from like people on Walmart and now Lowe's, even if you're in there online, not in store, there's still kind of the same mentality they have with like kind of it's gated to get in the door, so to speak. Whereas Amazon, it's almost like setting up an Instagram account. Like just everybody can start. If you screw up or don't do things right, we'll get rid of you. But they just kind of let everyone in on the Amazon side. But some of these more traditional brick and mortar type places, even if they have good online presences, to get into the online, you have to be, you have to be uh, approved. You have to get through the gating process. Okay.
Yeah.
So what are the sales like? So if you don't mind me asking, you don't have to go into like the specific numbers, but like relative to what your Amazon sales are today, which I know I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but like which is better, Lowe's or Amazon?
Between Lowe's and Amazon, I would say Amazon because I have more products on Amazon. Like
Mm,
you said, you have to it's not like you just put all your products up right away. With Amazon,
right,
you do that, but Lowe's and the other companies, you have to go through a process. It's a system that you have to put your products in, and then you have to get them approved, and it's
right,
a longer process. It is a matter of us just going ahead and adding the other products. So I keep
right,
more with Amazon because I'm able to like tomorrow I might say, hey, I'm gonna put another SKU up. With
right,
Lowe's,
right.
it might take a couple weeks. It might, or you know it's a process and the systems that you have to learn too with
Okay,
other
okay.
companies. And
So, all right, help me understand this. So, let's say for the same product, product A, in both Amazon and Lowe's, what are the what's the relatively the relative sales of one versus the other, like as percentages, maybe let's say.
so I would say if it's just Lowe's.com, it's Amazon will be pretty much 80%. Then Lowe's is like the
Oh,
other.
even for the same product. Okay, so it's not huge numbers, but it's like why not type of thing, because you're probably not cannibalizing Amazon sales because I'm assuming the people that buy on Lowe's.com are not the same people that buy on Amazon. Is there anything you can do for the listing on Lowe's.com, or is it pretty much they manage the listing themselves?
They manage the listings themselves, and like for Home Depot, we're also in stores and online too.
Mm-hmm.
They have a system now where they're doing the marketing. You can do some marketing campaigns
Okay.
as well. So they're leveraging that. Home Depot is. So I'm pretty sure Lowe's will be coming to do that too. But you have more control with the e-commerce with Amazon for as your
Right.
campaigns. But when you go over to the corporations, you have to sign up for their systems to see if they have the campaigns, on their website because you're trying to sales on their website.
Gotcha. Is there any advantage to sending like outside traffic to your listing on Lowe's.com, or is it pretty much the algorithm's not like looking for sales and stuff like that the way like Amazon's algorithm does?
No, no.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so lately you've been focusing more on marketplaces. Is that a fair thing to say?
Yeah.
At least from my understanding. Okay.
Yeah.
What made you decide to kind of dive down more into like Amazon and Walmart.com's marketplace and places like that?
So we were on Amazon. I've been on Amazon for a while, but I
Okay.
never really took the time to really push or do the campaigns. So when COVID-19 happened, it was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, no one's going to the store. So how are we going to push our sales? And so Amazon kind of was like, let's look at more of our online presence. Let's drive sales to, these sites and our site.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I started doing more research and looking at the international marketplace, Walmart marketplace, and just like not to have all our focus on the retail side, but have more focus on the e-commerce side.
Okay. Good. So basically, it was almost like Amazon was an afterthought in the past, and now are you seeing growth on Amazon relative to where you were, months ago?
Oh yes, much growth. Because also going through your program, the maximizing with the e-commerce
Mm-hmm.
campaigns, and we talked about that. So I started to look more at the campaign side of it and
Mm-hmm.
keywords and all the different things that you can do to help drive your sales with e-commerce. I mean, that was a blessing to be able to really take the time to focus on that. Because before I was like, okay, just go with the flow, and if we get a sale, we get a sale on e-commerce. But now it's like, how do we drive sales? How do we make sure we're doing all the things right for as our campaigns and looking at the ACOS and looking at the budgets. I mean, just it's a whole nother ball game when you take the time and focus.
Got it. Well, I'm glad to hear that it sounds like you got results out of the time we spent together in the accelerator program.
Definitely.
Okay, good. Well, that's always good to hear. So, all right. So let's dive a little bit deeper into. Well, I'm getting a little hissing sound there. Oh, never mind. Went away. So, all right. Let's dive down a little bit deeper with, kind of where things are going. So you're on Amazon in just the U.S. or you went international too? I know the answer to this question, but I'm kind of helping the listeners.
I'm on Amazon U.S., also Amazon Mexico.
Okay.
And then we're in the process of doing the Canada, Amazon, and international for the different countries, the UK. So that's been a little process because I had to take a break from all of this. We're having all these different things happening, and I'm kind of linked towards, we had a big promotion happening with one of our customers. So I'm looking forward to this, the international part of it, and it's understanding and learning from you of how to go about doing the international part and how it benefits, why not? So
I tend to find wherever you're selling on Amazon, you'll probably add another 10-15%. Can't guarantee anything, but generally speaking, it tends to be about at least 10-15% of your US sales you see in Canada, and something similar to that in UK. Sometimes people get higher numbers than that. So I know sometimes people will say like, oh, you said one time somebody had like 30% of their sales on Amazon in the US and Canada. Is that the standard? I'm like, no, I don't. Sometimes those are outliers, but I like to at least say what it could be. But as long as you're putting in, apples to apples catalog, it's not uncommon for people to get 10-15% of their US sales in Canada if it's a product that Canadians would buy. And I would imagine if home tools, it's something that people need in both places, unless there's some strange cultural difference in Canada, which I don't think there is here. So interesting. All right. So what are you finding is working in the business right now?
What is working is staying focused on my e-commerce and also looking at my campaigns. I look at pretty much every other day. I'm looking at how much I'm spending, or do I need to change some things out, or do I need to pause? Do I need to change my budget for it? So that's what's working. Before I wasn't doing that, and so now it's like you have to pay attention, and you have to run campaigns. You can't just put your product on e-commerce and think that you're going to get sales. You have to be involved. So
right. So as long as you're doing what you can to pull the levers, because like you were saying before, whether it's Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever, whether it's in store or online, it's pretty much here Home Depot, here Lowe's, here's my stuff, and then they say, here's our sales, here's your money, or however that process looks. Whereas with marketplaces, you have more levers you can pull, but you can also do more to drive sales than you could in the others, which is, I imagine, probably more beneficial.
And I do have to say, Home Depot they have a program now where you can run sponsorship campaigns.
Okay.
They did turn that on for us as vendors, because during this COVID piece, it was like, okay, what do we do as well? So
gotcha.
They did that.
And that's just in like homedepot.com?
Yes.
Okay. What is that like? Can you, just for the curiosity of the listener, what is the difference between, let's say, Amazon sponsored products campaigns versus whatever the equivalent is on Home Depot? Like, does it operate similarly? Is the interface user friendly? Like, what is that like?
It's a little different. I'm trying to figure out this. You have more control of the campaigns on Amazon.
Okay.
The only control you pretty much have is the amount of money that you want to put up.
Oh, gotcha. So you just tell Home Depot, here's my money, and they say, we'll spend it for you.
Yeah, and you put the keywords. And
you can go after keywords. Okay. So but it's not as much as like granular as like, exact, broad, phrase, and, being able to change like the bids for.
You can change the amounts, but not change I want to say the keywords or the bids for those work.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So really, it's just at the budget level you have control, not like at the bidding level per keyword. Okay, interesting. Interesting. So their algorithm, however that works, is just deciding for you. Okay, interesting. Interesting. So if someone's listening to this who's thinking about going kind of the opposite path of what you did, and they want to go into the store, because some of these big box retailers, they're not going away, and that could still be another way to diversify your sales. Because I think a lot of people have gotten to a point where it's like, I think there was more of a mentality a year ago with a lot of people of just go all in on Amazon.com in the US. International is a waste of time. Other marketplaces are a waste of time. In-store is a waste of time. Just double down on Amazon in the US. Then now we've seen all these changes, with Amazon, not allowing certain type of shipments in if they're non-essential, or, throttling back the amount you can send in, taking longer than normal to check goods in the US. I don't really see all those same problems internationally. And then, of course, which is one way to diversify, but then of course, in-store is a way to diversify. So to help people understand the in-store process to diversify, because I know that's getting to be something people are really more curious about, what advice would you have for them to at least get started?
So you will have to make sure you have everything in place, such as, your packaging, your UPC codes, you just have to make sure you are presenting a product that can be sold in the stores. You have to be ready. I mean, I don't want to get into a whole nother piece when we start asking like EDI. I mean, you have to know, you have to be able to.
Okay, well, what was that term you just used? So you open the door, I have to walk through it.
Electronic data exchange. So
okay.
There's that you have to be able to sign up with, and I'm pretty sure some people might I would say familiar with like Commerce Hub. You have to be able to have systems that if you have SPS Commerce, so you'll be able to interchange your data from the corporations such as the Home Depot or Lowe's that you have to sign up with to be able to, I would say, have their information to come to you so you can be able to ship back to them. So it's just a system in place that you have to be able to. Okay,
so there's basically places you have to have your data stored, which are kind of third party, if I'm understanding correctly, that they pull information from. Okay. So it's kind of a way of validating the product, whereas Amazon's just like, here's the form, fill it out, do it, and then. But they're saying the data has to be somewhere else, essentially. Okay. So it's probably a vetting process.
And like, for example, they might have it where it's in store in their systems too, such as Lowe's.com. You can have where you have a third party or you can use their system. So it's a variety of systems that is available. I just named a couple, but they have a list of companies that they do business with. So you have to be able to sign up with those companies to be able to do business with them.
Okay.
And they'll give you the information.
Sure. So just out of curiosity, if you don't mind sharing, like with Home Depot, of the sales you get in Home Depot, roughly what is the mix of, as a percentage of in-store versus online? Like what does that look like for your Home Depot sales? Because it sounds like that's probably one of your bigger channels if you're in stores nationwide.
Yes. So that's more of a 75% or 80%.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still higher than the e-commerce. So yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So that's still a good sales channel for you that you're getting a lot of sales in store. So what does that look like from a distribution standpoint? Are you sending in like boxes to one place, or they're saying we need it at this warehouse, this warehouse, this warehouse, this warehouse?
So they have a system where, distribution centers, warehouses, but we so far we do the system where it ships to the stores. So the stores, they like to have their product go straight to them, but of course, one day we'll probably change over into their distribution centers, but we ship directly to the store. So
wait, you ship directly to each individual store. Okay. So how do you manage that? Because how many stores are there in the US?
There's roughly over 2,000 stores.
Okay. So how do you know, like, do you have distribution facilities?
No, we ship from our warehouse. pretty much the orders come in,
Uh-huh.
and they don't come in all at the same time. They come in weekly, so we're able to manage those weekly orders.
Okay, so basically the orders come in. So instead of fulfilling to individual customers, you're fulfilling to individual stores in essence.
But we do both. We do
Oh,
individual customers, and
yeah.
we're on e-commerce for the .com, and then
Hmm.
we ship to the stores. So we do both.
Okay, so when you're shipping out to the stores, help me understand here. Like, are you sending like UPS or FedEx or whatever the case is, or or is this going like in an LTL truck that's just dropping off at different
So
stores?
it goes to the UPS. UPS
Okay.
up from us, and then we ship it. They'll take it to their warehouse.
Now, do you require the stores to do minimum orders, or they just order whatever they need?
We have a minimum order, and then they can order more than that minimum order.
Okay, got it. So interesting. And then, do you have any? How am I phrasing this question? Do you? I know, because I know you have independent stores you work with. Do you work it out with the independent stores that they can't sell on Amazon, for example, or like do you ever run into where sometimes you sell to a store and then now you're competing with them for the buy box on Amazon?
No, because usually the independent stores are pretty much selling it at their stores.
Mm-hmm.
So we haven't had anybody do that. And I want to back up too when you mentioned
Go for it.
to the stores.
Mm-hmm.
Even when we were just in the stores in the Bay Area in California, we used to travel to the stores. That's a whole nother story. But
Okay.
we want to market real estate. And so we would put monitors in the stores. And we would walk the product inside the store into the receiving department and get it checked in and then take it to the checkout area where we would put a display up. So we really put some hard work into what we did. So shipping to the stores, traveling to stores, we don't do it as much anymore, but I know we get back out there and travel and touch bases, because when they know that you are trying to push sales, they want to help you. They want to work with you to push. So,
Okay.
So you can get involved with the companies you do business with. You can go to the manager, you can go to the district manager, you can run promotions, you can do a lot of different things when you're in the stores. You just have to communicate with them.
Okay, so basically, for the benefit of the listeners, there's a buyer who kind of just is the gatekeeper to decide whether or not it gets into the store, but then what the sales look like in the store, you want to work with the store managers or their boss, the district manager, to figure this out. Is that kind of okay? And so the more you show your face, the more likely you're going to get more sales. So how do you manage that now when there's 2,000 stores? Do you have reps going into this, or you kind of have it developed as a process enough?
So we had reps at one point. We were doing it ourselves. We had a team, and then we had some reps, and then now they have in-store services to make sure your product is on the shelf. But now that we have all the stores, we only do that when we can. Like, for example, we did something in Texas, and I did it all by email and phone, where I ran a contest in Texas with the Pro Desk, and whoever sold the most out of that district, we gave them a pizza party. So you can get with the and then we had the district manager to help manage the sales. So the data came into him to get to know which store was selling the most. So you can be creative. You can work with your buyer. You can work with district, regional managers. So yes, you can get creative when you do business with a retailer.
Okay, so I'm assuming you're probably spending like a couple $100 on the pizza party or whatever the case is. Is it? I'm assuming the return on, if all these stores are just increasing just a little bit because they're excited about potentially winning a pizza party, you get your numbers back and then some.
You get your numbers back and then some.
Okay.
Then also the employees, they become aware of your product. You want to share your product awareness, because it's so many products inside the stores.
Right.
You want to see how can you stand out, and so that's what you want to present to when you're dealing with a buyer. How are you going to help push your sales? You just not want to collect shelf space. So you're trying to push your sales as well.
Yeah, and that's such a good point, and that's something that in the online world we're so focused on, like PPC and keywords and optimizing listings, which is all great. But then if you're in the in store, it's a different animal where it really is becoming more about relationships. But I think we can take some of that lesson from the in store with the relationships to find other like-minded people that can challenge you, understand you in the online space too, because really we're social creatures and we need other people that understand us. And the more you can take some of the online relationship, or sorry, the offline kind of way of doing business, which is relationship driven and whatever the case is, and you start building relationships to focus on your online, that's going to help you too. Are you finding that to be the case?
Oh yes, your relationships are very, very important.
Yeah.
Sure that it's the relationship. I would say it's very important.
Okay. Interesting. All right. So this is good. So that's kind of one of the big takeaways, really, is that if you want to get into in-store, start building the relationships. Would you recommend, first trying to get to know some of the maybe store managers in your area, of whether it's Lowe's or Walmart or Bed Bath and Beyond or whatever, or focus more your time and effort on the buyers for that category?
I would say buyers.
Okay.
I would say buyers, but I would say definitely go to the stores and get a feel of how the stores are run. And you can, talk to a manager because they could put you in contact with someone, but you can do your research. And then also I would say go to trade shows. Go to, depending on what your category is, trying to find their national trade shows.
That's such a good point.
And a lot of those people are there at the trade shows. They may cost a lot, but it's worth going. Or you might just want to go as a person that's walking around and get a feel of what vendors are there too. And then sometimes they have, I want to say, workshops. So sometimes those corporations are there putting on events.
Mm-hmm.
You can find out, like, for example, when I went to the National Harvest Show in Las Vegas every year, but not this year, of course, the corporations are there. The buyers are there, but they're walking around. You wouldn't know it, but if they have an event, if they're invited to speak, their team going into that workshop or that session, and they're going to be there. So that's
okay. Yeah, so that's interesting. So, are you going as an exhibitor, or are you going as an attendee and just walking the exhibit floor?
I've done both.
Okay. What does better for you?
Both were good. I've gone as an exhibitor, and then of course you make contacts. Mm-hmm. And they're coming by your booth, and you collect their information. That's number one. You want to be able to collect their information so you can follow up with them. And if you're an attendee, you have more power to walk around, attend the workshops, and get to know people too, and get to find out what other products are out there. You can really walk the show to understand what's happening, and you might meet a buyer. You might go to they also have buying events. So you can sign up. It's a cost sometimes, where you can have a one-on-one meetings. So that's a great place to go too. If you want to meet a buyer, you want to find out maybe that buyer is going to be there. So, or they might send a team member, but you making that initial contact with them.
Yeah. Okay. So that's interesting. Yeah, one of the things I didn't really realize until, this is going back in time when I was in the convention space, how much there really is an association for literally everything. Sometimes people think of association, think of like, oh, the National Basketball Association or the American Automobile Association. Kind of, but different. And it's usually these basically associations where they take like the companies that are selling to one party and the ones that need to buy from another party. And so an example I give to people of there literally is an association for everything. When I was in the convention world, we dealt with a lot of these associations, and one of them was, I don't remember the exact name of the association, but it was a trade association for like electrical coil winding. So if you can imagine, like when they put out like high intensity lines, there's these big wire spools, like these big circular spools with thick wires. So that like there's a trade association for the companies that do that. And so there's people selling and there's people buying. And so whatever it is you're doing, look it up, find it, maybe, you know, join the association. Right now, I'm sure trade shows are probably not happening quite to the same level they were because of COVID, but, you know, ideally that's going to go away. And if, you know, whatever that looks like after COVID, well, you know, if you're part of it, then you're at least in it. But to your point, like if you go, even just as an attendee, and if a certain corporation you want to maybe do business with, they've got a breakout meeting or something, go listen to their talk.
Yes.
Even if you don't get a chance to talk to them, if you can email them later and talk about how you went and visited their talk, you're going to get a lot more brownie points, I would imagine. You can tell me if I'm wrong, than if you just email them out of the blue as someone who there's no connection.
Definitely. You want to be there. You want to go. You want to, and it might be the first time, just go as an attendee. So that way you can get a feel, and then when it's time to do the exhibit, you have a better, you know, understanding how it all works.
Yeah. And this might be a couple $1,000s that you got to invest, you know, to get a conference ticket, rooms for a couple nights, and airfare and meals. But think about all the other things you might spend a couple $1,000s on to grow, and what this could potentially do for you if you want to invest the time to go in store or whatever direction you want to go. And maybe it's just good to know people within the industry too, because if you're like, I don't want to just be 100% on Amazon in the US, that could be maybe a potential way to grow, because, you know, even if e-commerce takes a bigger chunk out of overall retail is still bigger than e-commerce.
Yes.
Yeah. So interesting stuff. All right. Any other advice you have for folks? Because I know you're an action taker, and it's like every time I ever talk to you about like do something, you'd start diving into it.
I would just say make sure you look into resources. Sign up for if it's a course, if it's a paid course or a free course. Just get information, because that would be able to help you to open up more doors. Just, you know, stay connected to just stay connected, because you will be able to, I would say, open more doors and read books. And other suggestions is to just be a go-getter. I know some people, you just can't wait, and be bold and persevere. If a door closes, don't get upset, because that might not be your timing. Just be patient. And that's what you have to be in this industry, and you have to be patient. You cannot think that, oh, the door's going to open just like that. If it's a no, then you go, okay, let me focus my energy on something else, and I'll come back to that. I mean, you know, we've got no's, but as I told you about Lowe's, you know, the no, and then the door opens, you know, so you have to really just be patient.
Yeah. I think it was Grant Cardone coined the phrase, the stream beats the rock. And so over time, you know, maybe at first you're not getting any progress on the rock, but over time, a stream can, you know, even a hard rock, start to break it up a little bit. So you got to sometimes not, hey, what about today? What about today? What about today? What about today? But, you know, if you over time are checking in with them and building that relationship, you never know where that could take you.
Never know.
Sometimes it just opens up your mindset to other things that maybe it's not Home Depot, but you realize maybe your product belongs more in another type of store, whatever that is for your industry. So all good advice here. So thank you for coming on here. So if folks wanted to check out more of what you're talking about here, where might they go?
Unique Tools. It's DUNIQUE Tools, TOOLS.com. And also another way to get there is universalsquare.com. Okay.
So they can go check out your actual products.
Yeah.
And They can go look and see your listings on Home Depot and Lowe's and whatnot too. So that's duniquetools.com and universaltools.com, and I'll link to all that in the show notes. So Nanette, thank you. This has been interesting. I'm picking up lots of information here myself. So really enjoyed this conversation. Hope the listeners have too.
Having me. I really appreciate you and mentoring me through this process of international and campaign. So I appreciate you, Kevin. I'm glad I found you on YouTube.
Awesome. Well, I am too. It's been great getting to know you, and appreciate it and love to see more of your future success.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nanette.